better here. The sun's so bright, it's making me squish my face. But anyways, what I wanted to talk about is last night it was Thanksgiving, and I went out at like 10 o'clock last night after I finished watching one of my favorite movies, American Gangster. Shout out to Denzel Washington. But anyways, the people that I'm living with at the time is my brother and his girlfriend. My brother likes to buy sweets, and my whole life I've been eating sweets. It's not a good thing. I think it fucks up your brain a little bit when you have that much sugar and it inflames your brain and everything. But I go out at like 10 o'clock last night because I don't want to keep eating their food like donuts and cookies and muffins and cupcakes and shit. And I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go to the 7-Eleven over on Cahuenga and Yucca, and I'm going to buy some sweets for myself. Well, I go there and I buy an apple fritter, and I buy this cream-covered fucking donut. Looked really good. And then I start I can't remember exactly what started it, but all of a sudden I saw this guy that was just like kind of living on his own outside, homeless maybe, I don't know. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to give a little piece of this fritter to this guy. Oh no, it was somebody walking around. He was like kind of, I think he was high on meth probably, and he was just walking around. And I'm like, hey bro, you want a little bit of an apple fritter? And he's like, oh man, you know, I'm just trying to figure out how to pay off this debt or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, do what you do, man. You want a little bit of a fritter? And that's at like 10 o'clock. And all of a sudden I was like, you know what, I don't really need these sweets. And definitely people out there that need a lot more love than I do, and I've been kind of just like giving just like a piece of shit. Or I mean, I've just been taking, and recently I've been feeling like I'm just this big piece of shit that just keeps taking everything and not really giving it all, and no matter how much I try, it's making me feel really, really bad. Hold on one second. So anyways, I decided that I was going to give away the rest of my fritter, and the cream-filled donut that I had. And I was taking little bites of it, and I was giving it out, and I was finding people down Hollywood Boulevard. I was mainly sticking to Hollywood Boulevard at this point, just walking up and down, giving some to a crowd of people right at the corner of Hollywood and Highland. And the donuts were gone within like a half an hour. And then I'm like, you know, this isn't good enough. I need to give more. So I go back to CVS. Oh no. Then I get to McDonald's, and I buy 2 cheeseburgers, and I get a plastic knife, and I split the 2 cheeseburgers up into 8 pieces. So there's quarter cheeseburgers, and I start giving them out, and it was interesting. Some of the people that did want food versus some of the people that didn't. I think some people were actually just sitting on the boulevard just to sit on the boulevard, whereas other people really needed food. Some people, they were cool about it. They're like, nah, man, I'm good. It's all good. I appreciate what you're doing. Other people were like, yeah, please. And other people were just shaking their head no. And, it's a personal preference, obviously. Like, the reason I'm doing this is, I just feel really bad about how much I've just been taking and not giving. Even if I try to give, it just feels like I'm not giving enough. But I know that I'm always one step away from being a homeless person on Hollywood Boulevard or wherever the universe would have me as a homeless person. And I know I'm always one step away, and I think a lot of people don't ever feel that way. A lot of people that just walk past the homeless people, like I've been in those zones and those modes before where when you see a homeless person and you're with people or you're by yourself, you kind of just like take that extra step away from them because it's like, oh, they might smell bad or they might try to attack me or something, but that's never going to happen. I mean, I don't want to say never, but it very rarely is a fucking homeless person who's going to come up to you. I mean, really all that happened, I think for the most part what happened was drugs is the most part. They probably got into some drugs. And they lost track of their mind and their thoughts. Just they stopped getting present to the moment, and they kind of just lost whatever a trail of success or trail of money making that they were on, and they just kept going and going and going, and they didn't stop, or they weren't able to stop, or whatever the reasons are. I'm not going to, this isn't a video to get into the reasons of why people are addicted to drugs or anything like that, but I know that I'm always, quote unquote, one step away from being there. I know that if I mess up at all, that I could be back there within a second, and it'll feel like a second to me, even though it'll be definitely a lot longer for everybody else. But regardless, after the cheeseburgers were gone from McDonald's, then what I did was I went to CVS over on Cahuenga and Yucca, and I got for just $1 and like tax, like $1.10 or $1.20 or something like that, a thing of chocolate chip cookies. Or maybe no, they didn't have any chocolate chip cookies, so they're oatmeal raisin cookies. But I've gotten them in the past for myself, and they're exactly what they sound like. They're just a cheap package of oatmeal cookies. There's like, I think maybe 12 or 16 of them, and you get them for $1 plus tax. And what I did was I bought 2 packages. It was like $2.36 or something like that, and then I put them into a small CVS bag, and I just started walking around handing them out. Hollywood Boulevard, I mean, you can only go up and down it so many times, so I ended up going to side streets. What the hell? I ended up going to side streets. There's this church over on, I think it's Cherokee and Selma. Let's take a look at this right here. That's kind of badass, whatever that was right there. Not really paying attention, so I don't know what it was. It's just some car in the middle of Hollywood and the Highland right by the Metro Center entrance. But, and I'm on the way to LA Fitness right now, represent. So I started going down, like there's this church over by Selma and Cherokee, where there's always people. They have like tents put up and everything, and it was getting pretty late, so I couldn't give everybody cookies, but the ones that were up, I gave cookies to that wanted them, and ones that were sleeping, for the most part, I just took a cookie or half a cookie, and I threw it down kind of right by, or I didn't throw it, I placed it right by, where they would see it when they wake up. As long as somebody else doesn't take them, I made sure that like I kind of hid them a little bit, so if other people were walking around that I had given cookies to, and they were trying to take them from other people that were sleeping, that they really couldn't find them well, or they might wake up the other people. So anyways, so that ended up going till about midnight. Yeah, so that ended up going till about midnight. So I spent about 2 hours after the cookies were gone. I was by the other CVS over by the LA Fitness, and I'm going to right now. And whoop. Whew. It's pretty busy right here. And then they didn't have the regular cookies, so then I ended up getting these chocolate chip cookies that were even like, I think they were still $1, but there was even more per package. And I bought those, and then I kind of just was like, I got to keep going. I got to just, I got to give these out. I really feel like shit. Not feeling good about myself. I feel like I'm just like kind of a prick who just keeps like taking and taking and taking and not giving, even though I try to, and maybe, I don't know. So I was starting to give them out, and then it got to this point where like I couldn't find people on the street anymore, and I was like, well, I gotta do this one more time. And people that have watched RSD Tyler in the past, they would know about what he means by grinding it out to the bitter end, and I actually took that principle and I applied it to giving out to homeless people. Like, it would be so easy to just give up when I couldn't find homeless people, and I was down to like, I still had like 12 cookies, and I'm like, well, I can't just stop. I can't just give the rest of them to this one last person, because that wouldn't be fair to everybody else that was actually up and like actually wanted the cookies and everything. So, what was I gonna say? So I kept going, and I started getting tired, but I kept going and hammering it down to the bitter end, as RSD Tyler likes to say. Shout out to RSD Tyler, by the way. But oh yeah. Some interesting observations that I had noticed when it came to giving to homeless people. So I've given to people that have been on the street before, and it's nothing new to me. And I've volunteered in the past a couple times at like these St. Vincent de Paul places. But what I can say is that it's really hard to give and really get your, at least for me, and to get my mindset into the proper giving mode, because I think for a lot of people it's somewhat green and gold. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. I think what happens a lot of time when people are giving is that they want to be seen giving, or else like what's the point? And I knew that was going to come up for me, even though it's never really strong. But I just knew like I had to purposely, you know what, let's get somewhere. What's going to be a good place to go? So I kind of knew that it wasn't going to be a good place to go, or that it was going to be something that was going to happen to me, where it's like you want to give, but like you don't want to be that kind of person that just gives just so other people can see you give. And I noticed it at first happening, like, and the fact that I was thinking about it, I kind of knew like I was on the wrong train of thought, and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna act like this CVS bag that's full of cookies, that it's just for me, that I'm not like going from like if I was at a crosswalk and like everybody was like stopped at the crosswalk and they're like, oh, what's this kid doing with a CVS bag at midnight, and he's got like these nice headphones on, because I had the diamond tears on, and like I was dressed in all black and white, and I was like, you could see me from a mile away, basically, just like a blonde hair, blue-eyed, tall white guy at fucking midnight with a fucking CVS bag. It was like it would be hard to kind of blend in like that, especially if you're walking around by yourself. But I would start to notice myself being like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna make sure that these people see that I'm donating to these people, that I'm walking up to this homeless guy, this group of homeless people, and like I'm offering whatever's in my CVS bag to them, like these cookies or whatever. And I could tell that I was starting to do that. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. So I would like pretend that the CVS bag was mine, and like I would just wait for these people to pass it. Like I would purposely wait for people to not see me anymore, and then I would go up and open the bag and like, hey, you guys want cookies? And like and it kept happening to me where like I would see like, I don't know, like a cute girl or like these people, and like, oh, I'm gonna show them what I'm doing, and like I would just be thinking inside my head. But after a while, when I was starting to hammer it out to the bitter end, is when I just started to not even care. And like that's something that you can always say that you don't care about certain things, but you really just gotta get to that place mentally where like you're so overworked. Like it got to the point where it was like 2 hours in, and I was just walking around Hollywood Blvd and just walking around and giving out cookies to homeless people, that at a certain point I was like, I didn't even care if people even saw me anymore or not. That wasn't even a factor. Like I could feel that really coming out. Like I didn't get to the point where I was like 100% not caring, but I was still able to start to feel like stronger emotions than what do other people think. And I think that the mode that I've been in the last couple months, where you're constantly like, the more you think, at least for me, the more I think, the more I start to care about what other people think, whether that's intentional or not. I don't think it's ever intentional. Well, maybe it is, but the more that I was just physically walking around and not stopping and so focused on just kind of buying these cookies and getting them out to the people on the street, the more I was just like, I didn't even care if people saw me or not. Like it wasn't even a thing. And I think that when you start to see those transitions in your brain, that you kind of get like that law of attraction thing, where like if it's not even in your awareness anymore, if you're not even thinking about it, well then you're not even going to attract similar thoughts or actions, and you kind of just you let that go to a certain point. So that was pretty much it. I did that from 10 to midnight, and I was so fucking tired that I ended up just going into bed, and I ended up just passing out. And a couple cool opportunities came up as I was walking into my apartment. There was this cool girl that I had met that we took the elevator up to, and I think that maybe it was sort of a reciprocity or a karma thing, just from like not caring and like doing what you think is right. And you know, I guess I'm gonna keep, like, when I feel like I've really been taken a lot, whether I have or haven't been, just that feeling, you know, I got to do this again. And it's funny because you'd think on Thanksgiving, especially, I don't even know if Thanksgiving, the fact that it was Thanksgiving was a factor in me doing this, but the fact that I didn't see really too many other people doing this, like, I kind of was like, you know, this is definitely something that when you do things to this extreme, and like you go on your own and you're going down fucking, you know, side streets where, you know, half the street lamps aren't even working and there's like tents full of homeless people. It's like, this is something that you're doing on your own. Like, you're not doing this because of what people think, or because your community group decided that this was the right thing to do on Thanksgiving or whatever. Like, this is something that, you know, I've always felt I wanted to give, and my grandmother was probably an influence on that, because she ran one of the St. Vincent de Paul's in where I'm from, in Wisconsin. So kind of an interesting experience, and there's probably things that I left out, but since I'm just beginning with this whole putting content on YouTube thing to kind of just share my experience, nothing's going to be perfect. So subscribe if you find value in what I'm saying. Leave comments about what a horrible person I am, what an inspiring person I am, edits on the video, comments, suggestions, questions, concerns, you know, whatever it is. And I'll see you guys again for the next video of On Hollywood Boulevard. Later.